Marshall said, Ray Vialoux's dead. Frank smiled. Old Vialoux, huh? Well, that's good. Trying to get a reaction. He's the sort of guy, he's a real spot-on definition of human trash, isn't he? Or he was. Marshall sat there. In his periphery, he saw the ponytail guy had a gun in his hand, hanging between his knees, a SIG P226. Marshall said, Surprised you didn't hear about it. Thought if you're in here eating salmon bagels, you must be the big dog, but I guess not. Frank ran a hand around his jaw, a slow tour as if sculpting a reply. But then he just sat there quietly, watched Benny as he came back with his jar of capers. Sprinkle them on there from a height. I like them to fall kind of random. They all watched as Benny tipped out a few from about 18 inches. Frank said, Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. He picked up a half bagel and bit into it, eyes on Marshall. Marshall said, Are you going to help me, or are you going to pretend you don't know what the deal is? Frank chewed, looked at his bagel. This is good. He swallowed, shrugged. There's no pretending, he smiled. This is all coming to me 100% authentic. Marshall said, Vialoux got shot through a window while I was sitting talking to him. Front row seat, huh? Nice. Marshall said, He told me a guy named Danton Lewis got him into a game you're running, and apparently he ended up with a debt. Frank shrugged. Marshall said, I know you have a patience problem. I'm worried you got tired of waiting and had him whacked. That how it went? Frank didn't answer. Benny was at the table with the other two now, leaning way back in his seat, matching the vibe of the other flower man. Marshall said, I found this place because I hit redial on his home phone. Frank smiled. Shit. Yeah, they always said you were smart. So was he just calling up for recipes or something? Frank shook his head. Use your cranium, pal. I'm not stupid enough to hit a guy who owes me money. He was paying it down, and now I'm $70K in the hole. Do some fucking math, Jesus Christ. He took another bite. Benny's phone rang. He answered and listened, and then said, Yeah, well, I told her to cut them about an inch up from the base. Problem is they seal over, don't take in any water. If she's going to ignore pro advice, that's what happens. Marshall said, Who's the shooter? Frank chewed. Benny said, All right, she knows best, and hung up. Marshall said, Witnesses saw a little guy who smiles a lot. You know anyone that friendly?